travel, budget, cars. Welcome to the life of P&K. Welcome to the life of P&K, and the moment has finally come. The first official modification to the BMW. I decided to finally order the MST intake. I know guys, the intake doesn't give you any power, but I do like the noise. I'm doing it more for an aesthetic reason, and I also like the noise that the turbo makes, so I want to hear that noise more. This is not going to give you any power to your car. I know people say, oh, it's going to give you like more air flow, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to make any more power, so let's be serious here. I'm doing it just for the looks and the noise. That's it. So without further ado, I ordered the MST intake. I believe that's the best one for a car so far because it comes into a cover box. Just to let you guys know, you can't order this part directly from MST, so you have to find a dealer. I was able to find Extreme Powerhouse. Mike over there was very helpful. I really appreciate your help, Mike. So he was able to deliver this to my doorstep within a couple days. The shipping was really quickly. The order was very easy. I'll leave their info below in the description of this video if you guys want to order this part from them as well. But let's open the package. I already kind of opened it a little bit. I wanted to see what's inside. So then, obviously your packing paper is here. I'm guessing this will be the sheet or the cover of the intake. So you can see, this is the cover of the actual intake where it goes. There are a couple installation instructions here, how to clean the filter. I don't think I'll use that. I might use the installation instructions because there's a couple complicated parts. I was able to look over it. There are a couple complicated parts that I need some help with. Here you can see some hoses, some clamps, some hardware, a little bit of merchandise from MST. Thank you MST as well, and Extreme Powerhouse. You can see the filter. Basically what it looks like, a normal filter. It almost looks like a typical K&N filter, like a cone filter. Here we have the bottom of the box, of the actual intake box. I believe this is the intake is gonna come through here, and it's gonna sit like this. We're gonna have the top there. And lastly, the intake pipe itself. This is where you're gonna put your sensor in here. And that's it, that's all in the package. The packaging was okay. Now that we've seen everything in the box, let's go put it in the car. So the first step, guys, to remove the strut support bar, this is really simple. It's 2 bolts, you just have to remove them. And one thing I just noticed is this bolt is bigger than this bolt. So you have to use 2 different sockets for one little strut bar. I'm not sure who designed this. Maybe it's BMW. Another thing that you guys could have done also is like loosen this bolt and just swing this over. I just don't want to do that. I just want to get this out of the way. I'm sort of following instructions. Over here, you need like a Torx type of thing. I believe this is a T8. Don't quote me on the video. I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe this is a T8. And you need it for the box, I guess, the main screws here. So you can loosen this up a little bit. So after some research, I was kind of messing around in the bay here because this is not familiar. This is a new car for me. It's not familiar with what I have to do. One thing I noticed, it might be a useful tip. I'm going to try to do this. I was starting to loosen up these bolts based on the guide and stuff like that, but I don't believe we really need to loosen up these bolts right now. So all you have to do is push this backwards. It's already pushed back, so I guess whenever they were installing this, they didn't lock it up in place. Click on the little clip, kind of press down, and it comes off. So just loosen this up, put it away somewhere safely so you don't damage it. So I've noticed that if you just lift the intake, it kind of comes off, and there's little grommets. You can't see them with the camera here, but I'll show you later. There's little grommets here where this sits in. So I believe all we have to do is just loosen up this clamp right here, and then this should come off. Another thing I noticed, this little part is attached to here. So if you try to pull this off, this needs to come off too. So you have to loosen this clamp as well. Another thing I learned, there's another clamp like this on the bottom. So there's 2 like necks that go inside this tube. And here we go. Just a simple removal like that. Just be careful not to lose any of the clamps. And this comes out. Literally, you don't need to loosen these at all, not one bit. It gives you a little bit of a wiggle room, but what you can do is also remove only this bolt, and that's it. This comes out without any struggles, nothing like that. Super simple. Save your clamps. And last step, removing the factory box, will be loosening up this little clamp right here, and this should take this pipe out of the way. The easiest way to remove this is if you guys put your hand back here, you reach the back of the hose once the clamp is loose and just pull, and it tears up. So kind of like pull on this back side, you can see. So now the engine bay is clear. There's nothing here, nothing obstructing. So what we have to do is put in the silicone hose here. So I believe that's the first step. Before we actually start putting the box inside or setting up the whole new intake, we have to loosen up this little trunk screw, I believe it's called. So loosen it up and remove it. So it gives you a little bit of space here. And to make it more visible for you guys, I removed the other trunk screws. So this is open. I believe this is where you kind of connect the mount for the intake to support it. But we'll see. I'm not 100% sure for this. Before we get into any other steps, I do want to install the bottom silicone hose, which is this one neatly wrapped. It does have an orange inside, but this one matches the outlet or the inlet, I guess, of the original. And then I'll use the provided clamp. Make sure it's easy for you guys to access it when you're trying to loosen it or tighten up the clamp. So you put it nice and snug, kind of spin it around so you have access to tighten up your hose or your clamp, and just tighten up. And installing the shield, it's going to, first we have to loosen up this bolt. And the reason why you have to remove all this and loosening up this bolt is because the heat shield is going to go just like that here, and it's going to use this little bolt to connect. One thing to notice, and what I'm not really happy about, is maybe this is like an older design, but you can guys see where this was probably meant to go here. However, this is as far as it goes because the bracket is not long enough. I believe this will be okay. The next thing I'm going to do is just tighten up this area here so it's like secured and it's not moving anywhere. When this is done, I just tighten this up. The next thing we have to do is remove the master airflow sensor from the original box, which is this guy right here. Use your tools. And be careful with this, it's a sensor, so you gotta be very careful. Now that you have the sensor, all you have to do is just put it in here, just like a normal replacement. MST also provides these screws that you have to use instead of the stock ones. The stock ones won't work, so what I have to do is just add those. One thing to remember, take this clamp and put it over here. You'll need the clamp to tighten up the pipe, the intake pipe that we're about to put in. Try and protect that. And this is your intake pipe. It can only go this way. The airflow sensor would have to go on the outside of the actual box. One thing to remember, I was gonna follow the instructions directly, but I was having difficulties guiding this pipe with the master airflow sensors through. So what I had to do is guide the pipe by itself without the sensor. So the intake piping, you just gotta be careful. Lift the little rubber grommet here. And kind of guide it this way. This helps you out a lot when you're trying to put in the pipe. And then you kind of make sure the pipe's inside the little silicone hose and it's sitting like that. You can kind of twist it, make it fit a little bit better. And then also I put in the clamp. I'm not sure how I'm going to tighten the clamp up though. It's going to be a good exercise. Once your clamp down here is tightened up, you can see this is a lot better. I think this is a lot better to do it this way, because in the instructions they actually have you put in the actual flow sensor here, the airflow sensor here, and then try to kind of like make your way to set the pipe up in place. I think it's not very helpful, or it's actually a lot more difficult. This way I can put in the pipe, tighten up the clamp without an issue, and now put in the airflow sensor. Keep in mind, this doesn't have to be super tight. You don't want to tighten it to where it starts breaking the plastic. This is good enough. And everything looks to be secure so far. Now we probably have to work on this mount right here. And now the aluminum mount is really easy to put in. You just have to use the provided screws they give you. And then just kind of like finagle it into place. And I wouldn't tighten these two just up yet until you align this side on the mount. And just tighten it up. We're almost ready to put in the intake filter on. One thing to notice, earlier in the video I mentioned that we had two silicone hoses. This one I don't believe is going to be used. Maybe it's for a different version of the car, maybe before 2022. This is 2022, maybe that's why a couple things don't fit just exactly. You can see this is not, to me this is not a good fit right here. This was a bit difficult to do, but overall it's okay. I know this is like your typical air filter, but one thing I really love about this is it's not oily. Sometimes when you have a K&N filter, this is MST's personal, but I believe it's kind of like the K&N filter. It almost looks identical as well, but it's a dry filter. I love that because I don't really like oiling your filter or having the oil filter. Even though it catches maybe a little bit more, I have issues with having oil on your filter. So now we can put this in. It should be
really easy steps, just like that. Nothing too special, nothing too fancy. Okay, this is set. Don't forget to plug in your airflow sensor like this. Okay, this is all set, and you can see it's almost back to stock. All we have to do is just put in the cover. So we're at the final stages. I'm not happy about one issue. I will mention that in the video, but the last thing we have to do is tighten up these little bolts. And also don't forget to put in the strut support back on. It's a very important step. And I almost forgot to put in my little plastic shield in place here. That's it. Now with the intake being done, I know it took a little bit longer. The video was kind of like all over the place, so I apologize about that. It was just my first time working on this car specifically, so I was not sure what tools I need. One thing about BMWs, you need a tool for every single bolt or nut there is. It's insane. For this intake, I have a couple things to say. The fit is a little bit off. Let me show you. This over here, it's not fully fitting, and it's sort of touching the, I guess the wheel well of the car itself over here. So this could be pushed up a little bit more. The bracket over here, it could be pushed up back a little bit more, so this intake can go forward a little bit. So that way, it's gonna be a better fit. Also, see how it's not lining up here. I tried pushing it, moving it around. This is where it wants to finally end. Also, the instructions were not super clear. There are a couple steps that could have been made easier, a couple steps that could have been skipped. It would have made things a lot easier with this. But I'm just glad it's done. It's starting to kind of drizzle as well. So let me start up the car so you guys can hear what it kind of sounds like. So guys, it's a little bit rainy, so I'm going to be careful on the throttle, but I want to have you experience what the intake sounds inside the car. So we're going to go down a couple gears. So we're at the lowest gear. And that's it. There's not much of a noise change inside, but you can still hear the turbo spooling. You can hear the noise. You can hear it. And also the exhaust sounds a lot better too. I don't know why, if you guys can hear the crackles. You can hear them. Now that you guys heard the inside of the car, how it sounds at the outside, I'm really enjoying the sound from the outside probably more. I haven't heard it yet, so I have to watch the video. But the inside sounds okay. Unless you step on it, you're not gonna hear it. So anything, if you want to drive comfort, quietness, it's the same. It's not gonna change anything. Now, once you step on it, it sounds really good. I like it. From the outside, I'm kind of curious to see the video, how it sounds. First, I want to say thanks to Mike at Extreme House Performance. Very helpful at organizing everything, shipping the MST intake to me in a couple of days. Literally, I got it like right away after my order. That was phenomenal. They did a great job. A couple things I want to say about the intake. This is specifically related to MST. They could design this intake a little bit better. What I mean by that is change some of the construction and how it's structured, so that way it fits at least the 2022 cars and up better than the previous generation. I'm not sure how it fit in the previous generation. I'm very curious, if you guys have a 2021 and below and you use this intake, please put down in the comments below, what do you think? Did it fit well? Did it not fit well? Because right here, it's on this car, it's a difficult fit. It's very snug, it's very difficult. There are a couple things in the steps that could be described better in the description from MST. But with that being said, I really enjoy it. I believe it's worth the money. I want to say no to that point. Maybe if it was like a $200 cheaper, yes, but what they give you and how it fits, it's not really perfect. For $400, $450, you want it to be perfect, and it's not. So that's my opinion. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you guys are new to the channel, just visiting or browsing, please subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.